What is up, YouTube? Okay, so this is a bit of a funny video because it's serious, but it's not like extremely serious. Like it's it's metaphorical. It is serious. No, it is very serious. But it's to some it may just sound like a joke, but because a lot of people aren't trained to think this deeply, but I think it is genius. Um, so the help. Okay. Actually, let me go one step further. Plato's allegory of the cave. So, in Plato's cave, I think people kind of know the story. You know, you have your people, and they're seated face towards a wall, and there are shadows being displayed on this wall. They're chained on their neck and legs, but their hands are free. They can unchain themselves anytime they want, but they're comfortable, and they're looking at this um, at this wall that is displaying shadows, which is maybe a metaphor for entertainment. Obviously, the allegory of the cave was made during ancient times, so entertainment was a little different. But entertainment is entertainment. It will always be the same thing. We just have it digitally now. Um, but the way I see it, and what I think is really genius about the Help and their mission, is that they are blending in with the shadows and they are changing the entertainment from like from within the cave. They're not getting people and pulling them out of the cave necessarily, right? They're changing the actual shadows, and they're displaying different shadows of hope, of authenticity, of intention. And for me, I feel like those shadows touched my heart in a specific way, or gave me a certain feeling that I need to leave the cave. I need to leave this place of unlimited entertainment and pursue true, real art. And I feel like if I never discovered the Help, I would have never left the cave in a way. And I would have always just been consuming, um, I don't want to say meaningless entertainment, because there are some pieces of entertainment, that are okay. But and I wasn't just consuming meaningless entertainment. Like, I wasn't just consuming just like straight rap and and like Sabrina Carpenter music. Like, I was still consuming like good music, good movies, but um I wasn't really like I didn't I wasn't fully living in a way. Like, I wasn't fully like being imaginative, or I wasn't fully embracing reality, embracing that art is real, and that we live on the human timeline, and that medieval times were real and the Roman times were real. Because right now it feels like life has just always been, we're just watching shadows, right? Like, it kind of feels that for all of history, people have just watched. But realistically, in history, people actually did. It's only now people watch, but because people are so used to watching, that that's um their only perspective on life and reality, is that you just watch. But listening to the Help, hearing Noah and Chandler's message helped me escape the cave and realize that, okay, like, art is a real thing that is happening, and that you can go and tap into it. But the thing is what's interesting about the Help is that in Plato's allegory of the cave, there is an unnamed agent, which is like either like a spirit or somebody that pulls the person out of the cave. And I like that idea that somebody pulls you out of the cave and like does the dirty work for you and like drags you out and whatnot, kind of like a Sam Wise Gamgee, whatever. But I think it's actually cooler that the Help put out pieces of entertainment, but because those pieces of entertainment were slightly deeper or slightly coded, right? Because they were coded pieces of entertainment, that even it like went through my mind, because it's like I'm so used to consuming entertainment, I can understand entertainment. Maybe I can't really understand true art, right? But then I saw that those pieces like California Dream Girl or Caustic, like those music videos, right? And I saw them, and even though they come off as like fast paced bleeps and bloops and just like high or fast paced like editing, and it kind of feels it you know the story, but like you kind of feel like it's meaningless, or not meaningless, sorry, pointless. But then you actually like look at it, and then if you just like sit there with it and then watch it again and then watch it again, you realize that this piece of entertainment is actually a work of genius that is appearing to be a piece of entertainment, but is actually a deeply coded piece of art. And I think the problem is that people think of like coded or metaphorical pieces of art, and they think of like David Lynch's work. But the thing with David Lynch is that like they were living in a time of idle. They were living in a time where there was minimal amounts of chaos, where you could just consume art and there wasn't all this entertainment going on. Like most of the pieces in like the 80s and 90s were like true pieces of art. Obviously there was entertainment pieces that were meaningless, but like bro, like the like film peaked in the 90s and early 2000s, and just like pre-internet in general. So like I think people are on a different wavelength then, right? But I don't know if I'm doing a good job explaining it, but like the Help brought down, or Noah, Chandler, both of them together, the whole team, Maggie, like other names, the producer, Ian Taylor Swift, you know, the whole squad. It's almost like they have this like super overarching premise or story they are trying to inject into culture. But if they just inject it right away, culture will not respond properly to the thing. And I know people haven't responded the best to the Help. They've still almost like, I'm not saying dumbed themselves down, but they've made certain messaging consumable to the juvenile mind, consumable to the juvenile mind. And I think that is them, or Noah, who I know Noah's the front man. Maybe it's Noah's idea to do this because I feel like he's more psychological, but like that ability to concise a work of genius, or a piece of true art, and manipulate it to the point where it becomes super flashy and sensory, that people my age who are dopamine fiends will just look at it and just fall in love with it, whether there's a message or not. But the thing is, if you fall in love with something just by looking at it, if you keep looking at it, you may actually discover the message that is hidden inside of it. Therefore, that message is the Help's overarching goal, and that might actually take you out of Plato's cave into a world of true art and Renaissance. And Renaissance is the rebirth of the imagination. It is the rediscovering of the imagination. So that's what I believe happened with me personally with the Help. And the thing is like, I like to think of myself as an exception or like an anomaly sometimes. But if it happened to me, it can happen to anybody. Maybe I was a bit more susceptible to it because I'm a bit more sensitive and I'm a bit more real. But like, if their message could affect me while I was in Plato's cave, who's to say that message or that same idea of like concising something or like manipulating or translating something so it can be cast on the wall, like as a shadow, as like a piece of entertainment, who's to say it can't be done to anybody else? So I feel like copying it, I don't call it a business model, but copying the Help's ways of connecting with an audience, I think that is how you can get to a point of renaissance, of renaissance. And renaissance would be leaving the cave and rediscovering the true art, the the truth, just the truth actually. Yo, UST/Wax, Death of the Western Icon, gonna be the best film of all time, by the way. But anyways, I just think it's really interesting, and I've been trying to interpret and adapt Plato's allegory of the cave for my own film, and so I was just kind of thinking about like, there's kind of two ways to get people out of the cave. You can either unchain them yourself and like destroy the entertainment, or you could actually manipulate the entertainment from like the inside, or like it's kind of like an inside job in a way. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Peace.